the abstract thing, I think there's nothing, we can't talk about COVID as a positive thing, but there's something in that has linked people together and shown a sort of common vulnerability that faces all of us, no matter who we are. It faces obviously some more than others, but somewhat there has been an opportunity to create a different type of dialogue, also in terms of connection to nature, because nature has flourished in this period, right? So I think we are in a moment in time where I think more people than previously are waking up and getting a better sense of what's going on. Whether it's quick enough, that's the big question, right? But the other thing I think is, if you look, I used to also work very much in terms of corporate sustainability and those things. And I think if you go back 5 years and see what kind of conversations that happened in sort of any type of corporate organization, then some were ambitious and some were like role models, but a lot of them, they didn't really talk about this. If you look at today, I think everybody talks about it. Whether they do something about it is a different thing. But the first thing in order to do something is to begin to talk about it. And I think there's something around the speed of transition, which is now so high, and the aims that they come out with, each of them now, or targets, are so ambitious, and they're going to force others to come along. Still, whether it's quick enough is the question, right? And then thirdly, I think on the very sort of local level, we ran tests last week with a bit more than 1,000 students between 15 and 21 in India, in northern part of India, around this idea of using Bollywood and quiz show, and a very positive and energetic approach to climate. And they are so much on, and they have so much energy, and they want to do something. And I think that's hard not to be hopeful around, I think.
So you're talking about higher level things, and I'm like now going down to the personal part. So and slightly like back to the conscious conversation. Something happens there in people, and not with everyone, but with most of the people, because they open up to a possibility of something different. But I would go even further down. So I'll take one conversation, let's call her Susan, or like we can call him Adam as well, where we talked about leadership. And I could see this person, because they were literally sitting like this and just like, this isn't working. There has to be something else. Tina, why aren't you giving me that something else? I don't know what it is. We have to explore it together. And I could see that desperation. And at the end of those 20 minutes, this person suddenly went from, but there has to be something else. And suddenly there has to be something else. And just those same sentences and that shift, I was like, oh, something happened. So I think that from those conscious conversations, youth, whomever, where you see that when they come in and they're just so frustrated and so angry and just being like, this isn't working, give me the answers. And then suddenly they're just like, this isn't working, there are no answers. Actually, that means that I can just ignore the rules. And then something just clicks, and I'm usually just like, can we? And so even though I mentioned this one conversation, it's been many people. So I can repeat that story for the rest of the time that we have speaking, just to give an idea on how many people have had those epiphanies. Then they will get fear and discouraged probably along the way. But as long as there's a network of people who then are just keep going, then I think that could kind of be the key.
And I agree. And I mean, what I've loved being involved in those conscious conversations, we've had a collective worldview of separation materialism. And within that mainstream perspective, I couldn't find hope, actually. It'd be very, very difficult. And someone came to us the other day and said, for them, the hope is this new narrative of a whole worldview, that we actually have got the evidence that everything's interconnected, fundamentally. And so I know that evidence as such doesn't necessarily change minds. But it seems to me that more and more people who are creative, people who are leaders in whatever their organisations are, many are waking up and in their own lives, in their own experience, realising this interconnectedness. You know, Indigenous peoples have been trying to share their perspective of this for a long time, and I'm delighted that more and more Indigenous voices are being heard. And I don't know whether we're going to make it. I don't know whether we are going to get a tipping point where sufficient people, you know, remember, wake up to realise that we are inseparable. You know, if we have that tipping point, then I have incredible hope. But if not enough do, that don't turn the dial, then my hope diminishes accordingly. But I'm Christiana Figueres said the other day, I'm a stubborn optimist. I stand with her on that one.